Hello, everybody. So great to be here. Welcome to our stream. It's Anya and Marina, and today we are doing our quick casual chat about marketing. So we're super excited. We are, of course, as always, every stream, we're testing a bunch of things related to live video, but we also decided to do a little casual talk with you guys because we missed. So today, it's going to be a pretty short appearance for us. We're going to be here for about 35 to 40 minutes, and we are going to talk about marketing careers, like how we ended up with our jobs at Restream, as well as what kind of skills we worked on and developed in order to be successful in our roles. And we'll kind of walk you through casually through what we typically do during our day in our roles. In a relatively early stage, but not very early stage, medium-sized startup company based in Austin, Texas. So you guys are super welcome to drop your questions in the chat. We are going to try to answer all of them. You can simply say hi or ask us about anything you would like to know about marketing career, how to break in or how to advance in that field. And as we go, I think we will start with our first little question for you guys. If you want to share what's your current role in your company, just let us know in the chat, and we will have more cool questions for you as we go. But let's get started. We will kick off with how we landed our roles. And since I was talking for a while, I think you'll kick us off. So
Yes. We'll start with a short intro. My name is
Yes.
Marina, and I am currently leading paid acquisition and growth team here at Restream. And most of my career pretty much was working in paid acquisition and growth. And what it means, for those of you who may not be familiar with some of the terminology, is basically my main goal is to acquire new users. And how I landed this job is not a very unique story. I basically got a referral. So my ex-coworker from previous company just messaged me saying that his friend is a company looking for a marketer and if we want to chat. And basically, as you progress in your career, I would say more and more situations like this happen. So you less sending resumes and more kind of finding or looking for a fit in your network. At least that's my experience.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And for me, I mean, it was, I definitely started my tech career at more like entry level roles. I actually began as a customer support, tech support agent. My first job was with HomeAway, which is now Expedia Group. And with Restream, I met Alex, the CEO of Restream, 5 years ago, actually more, 6 years ago. And I was at that time working at a startup accelerator, which he was part of. He was part of that program. And we immediately connected. And I felt like I'm very passionate about what he does, about his vision, and just the whole idea of empowering people to live stream and create content. And I joined them shortly after. And I'm going to celebrate my 5th anniversary with Restream in May. And my role is in product marketing. So basically, when I describe it very briefly, I usually tell people that my role is to package the products and solutions that we offer in a way that anyone in the world could understand and fall in love with what we do. So that's kind of my mission in life. But in the practical day-to-day life, it actually translates into very much more trivial things than how I describe it. And we will definitely get to that as we go.
But so how you landed this job was also through your kind of networking, right? Network.
Yes, absolutely. I would say it is. Well, it's also previous job, like similar to you. So I learned about Restream and Matt Alex through my previous company, and definitely, I definitely networked a lot, and I did talk to a lot of portfolio companies, but not everything, of course, resonated. And Alex just happened to be like the one that I was like, oh yeah, I love what you do, and I think I could be of help. So that was my journey. And I see there's some chatters coming in. And I see Jim here is asking, are you broadcasting from a phone? Congrats, Anya. No, actually, that's one of the things that we're testing out today, Jim. We are trying vertical mode in studio. So we are absolutely going live from our computers. And we are trying to see how this vertical mode is going to appear on end platforms. And a little secret that we will reveal towards the end, we are also going to go on one of the vertical platforms, like mobile first platforms after. And Jim says his role is in sales and marketing. Awesome. You are the right kind of guy for this conversation. So we'll be talking a lot about marketing and sales and how they connect today. So I would love to go ahead, and as you guys, we continue inviting you to drop your questions in the chat for me or Marina. But I think we're just going to go ahead and just jump right into it and let Marina walk y'all through her day as a paid acquisition marketer. Like, what does your key responsibilities look like, and what is your typical day typically entails?
Yeah, so as we discussed a little bit earlier, our days may look very different one from another, but the core responsibilities, I would say, is definitely um, working, developing strategy, as well as manage channels and optimize channels to get new customers. And what I love about this specific area of marketing is that it's as analytical as I would say not non-analytical, right? I call it art and science. So you basically need to have very strong marketing skills where you understand the audience, or you can write your ads. You can be creative, but at the same time you look a lot at the data, calculating okay, like how much we can pay for acquiring one customer, while staying profitable, and optimize your campaigns, paid acquisition channels, um, towards those goals, to make sure not only you bring new users, but also stay profitable while doing that. Um, what are the daily life? You have quite a good amount of meetings as you need to work cross functionally. So with the design team on the ads, with the video production, kind of similar scope with data team. Sometimes with engineering, when you may want to find certain more complicated solutions, or for example, on landing pages, that's also partially a responsibility of paid acquisition, like making sure that your landing pages are aligned with what you're saying in the ads, and that the funnel is actually designed and optimized to lead these people who are interested in your product towards the conversion. Um, what else? Yeah, I think those are kind of the main few things that we're working on. Strategy of like how we going to acquire users, what channels we're going to use to going into the details, like what ads, what audiences we're going to target, what keywords, and optimizing the funnel. So, yeah.
So sometimes people say that if you have 80% of your job doing what you absolutely love and 20% of tedious, annoying tasks, you're extremely lucky, because no one does 100% of what they love and 0% of what they don't love. So if you were to give an example of one thing that is just like making you wake up and want to rush to work, so that 80% of happiness, and what's one kind of task that you're kind of just like, oh gosh, I wish I didn't have to do that. I wish I had a tool that would do it for me. What would those
Yeah.
two be?
That's a very great question. I tend to automate everything that I don't like to do.
That's good.
That's also like sometimes you need help of more technical people, but definitely a lot of things that you can automate, which is great. But what really drives me in this role, what really makes me passionate about it, is so the process of working with data, identifying patterns and insights, implementing this in your ads. So basically optimizing your ads, or again, landing pages or any part of your this conversion journey, we would call it. And you can see the feedback quite fast. So you can see it changing and tweaking. Like sometimes it's a button, it's a CTA button on the landing page. You change in the color or text, and you can see how your numbers are changing. You can see how like many more people see it, many more people click through it, many more people convert, or the opposite, less. But at least it's a pretty quick feedback loop to
Yeah.
whether it's working or not what you're doing.
I love that. That's super cool because yeah, when it takes you forever to understand the impact of your work, it does get discouraging. And when you get this instant feedback loops, this is like the best thing. So I can definitely relate to that. I'm
But
just gonna. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
but of course, when my numbers are growing, that's when
Yeah,
the
that's when you get
adrenaline
the
rush kicks
happy
in.
moments. Oh my god. We got quite a bit of chat messages as we were diving into the role of paid
Perfect.
acquisition. So just gonna acknowledge some people because that's just my style of streaming. I love to get back to comments as soon as I can. I like the full version for LinkedIn, says Jim. Yeah, we're definitely testing this on multiple platforms, and that's really great feedback. So let us know how this appeared because we don't even see ourselves on LinkedIn right now. We just see the preview. So let us know if vertical is showing up nicely to you. Not for Jim. Just, Jim says not vertical. Hello, friend, says Peter. That is awesome to see you. Alex is saying, do you have any advice for people who have just started in this area? We will get to this question for sure. I am actually going to go ahead and pin this question with our new chat pinning feature because I love it and I want to get back to this. So Alex, stay tuned, stay up. I know it's late for you. Peter says, I haven't seen Anya since I heard about the new baby. Congratulations, Anya. Thank you. He is turning 10 months soon, so he is growing fast. Johnny is saying, I still kind of love work that infuriates me, though. That is so true. It is sometimes a love hate relationship. Peter says, yes, easy. Work is no fun. Have to torture yourself for the real rewards. Gosh, torture. we covered a lot of ground today. Well, moving on to product marketing, I just wanted to share a little bit of like how like my stuff is looking on day to day basis, and similarly to Marina's and what we were talking about earlier, every day is different. The every season is different, and of course, for product marketing, it's a very multifunctional role. So just to give you an idea, I talk to and communicate with all kinds of teams and advise on email. We work closely with Marina on paid acquisition. I work with landing pages, a lot of marketing materials, events, customer success, and customer support. So a lot of times I kind of have to jump between support chats when people were mentioning something that is confusing or difficult for them. Sometimes I'm working on new feature launches. Like, for example, if we develop something new, such as this vertical mode, which we actually made a couple of months ago, but still, and I'm the person who is educating our existing community and upcoming users about the feature, the benefits, how this can help you achieve your goals, and just basically helping people to learn that this exists. A lot of my work is around messaging and packaging, right? Like, so how do we message? How do we talk about the feature? How do we stress the benefits and emphasize like the good things that this can do for you and solve your specific problems as content creators? Of course, certain things are more strategic. Like a lot of my day is focused on go-to-market strategy. For example, if we're thinking about how to introduce a new feature, do we bundle it with something else? Do we talk about that and show a bunch of use cases of how specifically people are using it? Or do we talk about this in comparison to the old way, like how people used to do this? So give you a specific example of this vertical mode, right? Like we used to only have horizontal mode and we would say, yes, and you could potentially repurpose your videos for vertical platforms, but you kind of have to sit in the center of your video. And then on the post production, you can cut yourself in the vertical aspect ratio. But now this feature actually allows you to set it, and it's just going to give you like this perfect layout that is great for mobile and vertical platforms. So that's kind of like the old way versus the new way. So there are a lot of different ways how to explain the benefits. And that's what I'm kind of thinking about a lot. And of course, cross communicating with different teams. But my absolutely favorite thing that I love the most is talking to users, watching them talk to our support, getting feedback, or going live like this, because this is my opportunity to actually connect with creators, hear their pains and their feelings and their emotions, how live streaming is working out for them firsthand, and like that is what I really thrive in doing and absolutely enjoy. And this is the main reason why I show up to work and want to do more, because I want to see you, hear you, and hopefully make your life better when it comes to live video. So more comments. Oh my goodness. we are really yeah, I love that. So Robert is checking in. Hi there. Great to catch both of you live. My question is, what skills you find more in demand from remote workers than folks on site in marketing? Absolutely great questions. You're getting a star, Robert, right now. So we're making sure that we come back to those questions very soon, towards the end of this conversation. Peter says, adding soundboards and effects to engage the audience has been a nice upgrade to my content delivery. Yes, that's awesome. I actually consider playing some background music, but sometimes I feel like it is a little distracting, especially when two people are talking. So I decided against it, but I absolutely hear you. Yes, sound effects are great for some type of content, and they're definitely like snapping people out of this fatigue if they're just scrolling through. They're like, oh, look, these people are playing music. That's great. Robert is saying, heads up in vertical mode, because the orientation, you don't see the video when live streaming in LinkedIn. When the stream is going on your personal profile, it's only showing the top portion of the video, as the video is further down in vertical than horizontal mode. That is very interesting. I am going to go ahead and screenshot your comment, because like I said, a lot of things, the reasoning behind this is we're testing. So I appreciate that. If you see anything like that that's funky or weird from the viewer perspective, let us know. We're here to fix it and make it better for the next time. And Jim says, I find you in LinkedIn. I did not see this being broadcasted on the Restream YouTube channel. Where are you broadcasting other than LinkedIn? Great question. So this is kind of a personal stream for us. We're, like I said, testing a bunch of things. So I will tell you, I am streaming on my personal YouTube channel. I am also live on my own Facebook, if you happen to be there, on my LinkedIn profile, which is this one, which I see a lot of you are coming from. I'm live on my personal Twitter and on top of that, we have paired a bunch of Marina's channels. So we're using our guest streaming feature, and Marina added her Facebook, her LinkedIn, and Twitter. Well. So that's where we are. Great questions today. Alrighty. So what else? Actually, one question that we really wanted to ask you guys, and in the meantime, we'll actually answer some other questions that you posted. But I would like to invite you to think about the challenges that you have at work. It doesn't really matter if you're working in marketing or some other areas. Just let us know what is your challenge right now. You can be as brief as you can or as elaborate on that question. So we're curious, and especially if it's in marketing area, I wonder if we have any pro tips for you guys. And while you're thinking on that, let's go ahead and get back to our pinned questions. So Alexander, do you have any advice for people who just started in this area in marketing? What's your pro tip for like early, young, green marketers?
Yeah. One interesting thing, I think, when I was starting my career that wasn't obvious in the very beginning is how analytical, again, and technical can marketing role be.
Yeah.
And especially user acquisition. Again, as I mentioned, I work a lot with data teams and metrics. So definitely, I would recommend to, in order to be competitive on job market, I would recommend to take some of the analytics classes like even such maybe more complicated things like SQL. I took CSS and HTML classes to understand better just like the kind of background of the website, right? Like to be able to read the code, understand where the tracking scripts, for example, or if something happens with a landing page, at least they can say from like very generically, okay, maybe something went wrong in this area, so I can better talk to developers who help me. But yeah, data in general, like we work a lot with metrics and calculations, and sometimes not maybe at this job we have a great team that helps with that, but in my previous jobs I certainly had to work with databases. Very simple, but still it really helps if you understand how it works, how to extract, how to write a simple queries to extract data.
Yeah.
So I think this is something that may not be obvious
Yeah.
uh,
No,
to
I think it's
marketers.
great. Yeah, data all around. Like a lot of people think of marketing as just like, oh, those people are just making social posts and whatever, but actually it is very metric driven and it's very data driven. And especially like the more mature a company is, the more accountability you have for metrics. And a lot of times you are just you own and you are in charge of setting up your own measurements and setting up your own goals for success and then measure against them. So a lot of times in my career, at least, I found that I don't necessarily just execute on like what I was told, like this is the goal, but I also have to analyze the baseline data and then figure out what the proper achievable, reasonable, or inspirational goal could be, and then basically work towards that and then constantly measure on every step of the way. So data big time. I would say for me, if you are starting in product marketing, I would recommend focusing on two main things. Number one is messaging. So writing copy, whether you're actually like writing every single word or you're just creating briefs for your products or working with copywriters or like other content creators, you definitely want to master like wordsmithing a little bit. And luckily for everybody, it's an exercisable skill. Many of you might have noticed that like English is not even my native language, right? But still, you can exercise it if you work on that a lot. And if you just keep writing for about anything, 30 minutes a day, once every week. But like if you exercise that muscle, it's getting stronger. So definitely recommend doing that and diving in the product. And like product marketer is the bridge between product team and the customer. So you have to be an expert in what the product is doing, why we're doing this, and how it helps the end user. So if you don't understand it, if you're not a user yourself, it's going to be very difficult for you to package it and explain the value. So dive in, whether you're working with databases or arts or I don't even know, like even like complicated software. Just like figure it out, try it, understand the application that you could use in your day to day life, and that is just going to make your life a lot easier and your contributions much more valuable. I want to take Robert's question because I think it's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
About skills that you find most on demand with remote workers versus folks on site in marketing, considering how we as a company are kind of both remote and inside. So, like, what did you see in your career? Like, what's important?
Yeah, that's a excellent question. I actually started to work remotely even before COVID, so I was remote couple of years before we all kind of went remote. And I think the one skill and one area of focus that is different from when you're in the office is first of all communication skills and I would say system and process for effective communication between team and teammates who are remote for me is the most important thing to get right in order again for team to collaborate effectively. And yeah, another thing that is kind of related, but I think it's for um, overall team's productivity and alignment. Be very have a really clear process of what are the goals, what are we focusing on, and processes around like how to collaborate in order to achieve these goals. But it's very important that because you don't have this time in the office when everyone can chat in the kitchen and sing in their own time or just yeah, teammates who are, may not be in the same office lose a little bit of context. So continuous updates and have a great process of where everyone can get on the same page is very important.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, and like it's hard to compare like if you're working on the same team and if you are doing marketing work, your skills will not necessarily compare remote versus in office. They are generally the same skills a lot of times, at least in my experience. But if you are remote, you have to like double down, triple down on communication because you can never assume that you know everything because of course different conversations happen in different channels and people in person just have a lot more opportunity to like double check, sink in, overhear something, overlook something by passing by a coworker. And people who are remote a lot of times feel like they were not necessarily included in those conversations. And I definitely saw people being frustrated about this. But what I always recommend to people who work with me is that, hey, make the awareness of what's going on your team your job, not your manager's job, not your teammate's job, right? Like, put it out there, double check, ask for a meeting. In most companies, most managers, most coworkers will never say no, I'm not going to meet with you if you have a question and if you feel like you need a sync, and you need some kind of extra context on what you were either tasked with or some feedback that you received. So it's always better to like over communicate than under communicate. So I would say, yeah, like you just have to be very comfortable with asking extra questions and like putting yourself out there if you are remote versus when you are in the office. And discipline, productivity. Oh my gosh, it's hard to work from home. I think I find it very difficult.
I don't actually.
Oh yeah, really? This is
The
how
opposite.
we're.
I'm completely the opposite. I kind of really like flexibility of it when I can maximize certain work in my highest energy times, and then like organize my meetings in a more productive time for the meetings. But what is very important still, the to have a process. So, for example, working remotely before COVID and after COVID was very different. When you are at home and you don't have certain deadlines of when you finish work, when you start work, that's when it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess
Yeah, totally.
process.
So yeah, I see some like challenges at work are also checking in. So Peter is talking about how my brain can permit gaps and errors in video production. I struggled a lot with imperfections, and I try to create room for small errors. But in the end, I really want my content to be polished, even though it doesn't have to be polished all the time, and it's good to be okay with that. So that's the struggle Peter is describing. He also says that the most impactful has been high quality of audio, which is super important because if your audience cannot hear you, they are not going to tolerate that quality of audio. Like they're much more forgiving to video imperfections than not being able to hear what you're talking about. I agree with that. That's very true. Thanks for sharing, Peter. And Jim is saying, since I use Restream, I am curious how this shows up on your side of the broadcast. So yeah, I actually just made a screenshot. I'll send you a DM with it. Like it's pretty much the same as your typical Restream studio. It's just the our preview is in vertical mode. So it would be easier for vertical platforms to kind of consume that content. That's kind of the idea behind our today's test. So I am going to also toss in one last question to the audience today. What do you think is your most valuable skill at work? You can actually totally twist that and turn it into your life most valuable skill, like whatever feels right to you. But yeah, let us know what's your most valuable skill, and maybe we will answer that question ourselves before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Um, Although not that maybe easy to answer. For me, I think my most valuable skill is actually a combination between, again, kind of analytical and creative side. It wasn't easy to find that balance, but once you find it specifically for your role, it's really huge competitive advantage in the market, and that's what makes me excited too. And one kind of last thing that I forgot to mention when we're talking about my favorite thing about my job, very often, as especially like when you travel a lot and talk with people throughout different industries, they always ask, "Oh, so you this person like you run ads?" Basically, that's what I do, right? I create and run ads. Like you push products on people. And the way I think about it is your main goal as a marketer is to not sell it to anyone, but to find people who need your product the most and cannot find it otherwise. Because again, like ads are have a lot more visibility and reach, and sometimes I many times found products that I cannot live without now through ads.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think again to kind of summarize that combination of being analytical, understanding insights, being able to translate it into visuals, it's very important for paid acquisition.
I agree. And yeah, you guys remember that because that's gold. That is kind of like the insider look that a lot of times when people apply for jobs and like look for opportunities, Like that's kind of a lot of times that's what's behind the questions, and that's what behind the requirements that like, yeah, you need to be able to translate like everything. When you hear anything about like data driven decisions, ability to interpret data, like that's exactly what Marina was talking about. Like if you master that skill and show track record that you can do that, that is making you extremely valuable on the market, at least in the market of marketers. Yeah, I was just thinking about that, and I came up with like two C words. And don't worry, I'm not going to say anything bad here. For me, in my at least last role, like the most valuable skills or superpowers were courage and curiosity, if that makes sense. The courage especially played out during pandemic when I just had to become that person who would go live and like start building this community and like test the product firsthand. And going live at first was not very easy. It was a little scary. We talked about that before the stream too, that like sometimes it is, if you don't do that quite often, it's intimidating. So building that courage to try new things and to put yourself out there was definitely helpful. And just being curious, like asking the questions, like diving deeper, digging in, dedicating that time to talk to that one customer who had unique or strange use case or maybe an issue that we haven't seen before. For product marketing, I think like the deeper you go, the deeper you understand, the better you can relate to the audience that you're talking to, and the better you can craft the message for them. So for me, that would probably be the top two that I would call out.
Yeah, I completely agree with curiosity. I think it's very important skill for any type of job. It's that extra mile you are ready and want to go in order to get better or bring more value.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And Robert saying, thanks us for taking his question. Of course, it was absolutely great. We love it. Great question. And I hope you guys find this information helpful and valuable. And as we wrap up, we are going to probably wrap up in the next couple of minutes. So if you have any more questions, now is the time to ask any last questions that you might have. Also, yeah, we've been using Restream Studio for that. If you're considering little podcasts or impromptu live chats with your community, if you want to show up and just share something, Restream Studio is a great way to do it. You can add me and Marina on LinkedIn if that's where you're watching us, or on any other platform if you would like to connect, learn more about what we do, and send us any follow-up questions. I absolutely love to connect with my community. And of course, the conversation doesn't stop here. But if you have any more last ideas, thoughts, and questions, you are welcome to throw them in. Love that, says Peter. Thank you so much. Johnny says, courage, curiosity, creativity, such great answers. Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining and for your time. This is valuable. You found the time during your work day to hang out with us, and I cannot thank you enough. And it was super fun, Marina. Thank
Yes,
you for being
it was
brave
a lot
today and like being like, we're gonna test this vertical mode. I'm with you. I'm on
Yeah.
it. So kudos for bravery to you today.
Yeah, I'm
and
also
for
very new
creativity.
to live streaming, so definitely a lot of fun. Very excited, and thank you so much for joining.
Not the last time, and we will see you around, and we will see you. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Bye.